Well, next on the program, when Winnipegger Cindy Mills found out her daughter Rosemary was gay, she took it in stride. But when she discovered her daughter wanted to transition from female to male, Cindy says she struggled, and her reaction hurt their close relationship. Now, longtime listeners might remember Roe Walker Mills. As we documented his transition on this show, he told us at the time that while he was upset at his mom's reaction and behavior, he was sympathetic to what she was going through.
I think my mother is mourning, and I think she needs to mourn the loss of a daughter before she can really accept, having a son.
Today, it's been 7 years, and Roe Walker Mills and his mom, Cindy, are finally talking about that difficult transition for the very first time. And they invited the CBC's Bridget Forbes to sit at the kitchen table with them for that important conversation. It starts with Cindy showing Bridget a photo of a teenage Rosemary playing basketball.
This is my daughter. This is Rosemary Mills. She's not with us anymore. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But this is my son, Roe Walker Mills. And he's wonderful.
I think crying is perfectly normal in this. Being a son versus a daughter, I'm realizing how much importance that has to a mother and father. So I understand where the attachment to where I started as Rosemary, I get it, because I still really appreciate those years as well. So I get a bit of tears, I understand.
Well, thank you for that. I don't like crying, but...
It hurts me a little bit to see you cry about it, but because it was so the right path for me, and I knew that from once I made up my mind, I'm go no matter what. You raised that kind of child.
I did, and you know what? You were so strong with us in this change that you educated your whole family and you took us on this journey together and you made it okay. You made the introduction of this new child really interesting, and I'm really proud of you. You, Roe Walker Mills. Mm. I was proud of Rosemary, but those are different memories and a different person. I see you as brand new. And isn't he great?
Tell me about when Roe came out as gay. What was that?
Knew. We knew long before he came out as gay. As a matter of fact, he came to me and asked a suggestion on how to help a friend, and I'm saying a friend in quotation marks, who needed help in telling her parents that she was gay. Someone recommended that she write a letter, and lo and behold, a letter arrived on our kitchen table at the same time. And I read that and I went, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "We knew this years ago, and he's writing us a letter now?" That wasn't the startling point. The startling point went from I'm gay to I'm transgender, because we had no concept of what that meant at the time. So
this was before even the word transgender was part of the mainstream narrative where you'd hear it on TV. In fact, the only person I remember seeing on TV being transgender growing up was on the TV show Maury, which was always, who's the father? Like, really just filth of TV, right? So whatever, I'm watching this Maury. And a transgender guy comes on, and I remember my mom walking in, seeing what's happening on TV, and looking at me saying, "Don't even think about it."
My first reaction when you brought up transgender was,
And this was before I myself knew I was transgender. I'm just watching TV. So just hearing that, I was like, oh, this is a bad thing. This is a weird thing. And I just stored that in the back of my head.
So you've talked about the first letter that you wrote to your parents and that you got from Rosemary. Tell me about the second letter.
The second letter?
Tell her about the letter of mail that arrived to the house.
Oh, okay. It was some kind of letter that you were exploring top surgery. That blew my mind. Wasn't ready for it. Had probably a negative reaction to that. And I thought to myself, I initially was angry. I also said, if you're old enough to make these kind of life decisions, you're probably old enough to live on your own. And you took that as, I have to move out of the house because, I really didn't make it clear. I was trying to slow you down, trying to make you halt and rethink. And it blew up on me because you said, okay, I'm gone. And you went ahead and did it. You were determined, and it turns out to be the right decision. But you have to forgive me for that first very angry reaction. And I would recommend that parents not do that. Oh, my goodness. If I look back, it's the one thing I wish I had done differently, and I apologize for that.
Specifically what, opening the letter?
No, I open lots of letters. I'm not supposed
to. That's the thing, is that moms want to know things, but at that stage, I had not yet even started hormones, and I was just doing research about the local surgeons in Winnipeg, seeing if they were any good. So that was the letter you got, and it didn't give me a chance to tell you properly, and I understand what you're trying to do by, like, halting my progress. And you're right, I think in hindsight it was probably the best thing for me just to take some distance. That kicked in my resilience.
It did.
It really did. And it got me upset enough that I knew I had to really make it on my own. And like those first few years, I didn't know it at the time, but they were so hard. Like now that I'm on the other end of it, I'm like, whoa. Like those were really hard years, the first 2 years of transition.
It's very interesting having a son at 21, brand new born. All the things you teach teenage boys, you've got to, teaching them to put the toilet seat down. It's interesting. It's
Really? Did he leave the toilet seat up?
No, but he leaves beard crumbs in the sink. So beard crumbs, little shaving bits, and I mean those kind of things are taught when the first couple. It's interesting.
Do you realize how happy I am that you're complaining about my beard trim in the sink? We are at that point, winning.
I'm very happy you have facial hair too. It looks handsome.
It's so nice to hear you in this place. Like, it's so lovely. But tell me a little bit about how you got here. Ro just talked about how hard those 2 years of transitioning were. What were they like for you?
Lonely. It was nice when you started coming back. Very nice.
What we would first do when I moved out, I wasn't necessarily coming by the house. We'd see each other every 2-3 weeks during a grocery shopping trip. And to me, those were very meaningful moments because it showed me that you still really loved and cared about me. But then also it gave us an experience of being in public around strangers as I'm transitioning, and you got to see how they reacted to me. And I remember there being a time where I'm helping you bag groceries at Costco or something, and the cashier says, "You have a very helpful son." Right? So those moments to me were so important to have you witness being in public around people who just automatically were using he, son, young man. I think that was just affirming to the whole situation. What do you think?
I think learning to call someone who was a she, he, I tripped over my tongue so many times. And now, so he's coming up to the floor after his hysterectomy, and a nurse said to me, "She is in room such and such and such." And I stopped in my tracks. I couldn't move. And I went, "What did you say?" I was horrified. "You're a nurse." "I'm a nurse." But I just kind of said, "You," and I was very angry tone of voice. "You need to watch your pronouns." And I stomped down the hall. And
what is it like, Ro, for you to hear your mom say that to a nurse?
Defend my honor. It's awesome. I always knew we could get here, even though it was really hard, and we've clearly gone through a lot as a family. This is where I wanted to be, and I knew I could always be as comfortable with myself on a successful path. I own a small business. I'm, again, doing music. I feel like I'm happier than I've ever been, and we just get along better. You know, I know I'm your child, but like we have fun together. It's just more relaxed. So
it is no longer an adult-child relationship. It's an adult-to-adult relationship, and it's a nice one. I appreciate you. I would miss you if you didn't come over every week.
What would you say to parents and families of children who are transitioning? How do you get to here, and how can you help?
Well, you can't stop it. You can't fight it. And if you try, it's just going to be a rougher journey. Feel what they feel. Be honest about it. And don't push your children away, no matter what. Talk. Talk lots. Talk as a family. Talk one-to-one until you can finish that grieving process and get out the other end as quickly as you can and as completely as you can. Try not to take as long as I took. That's the best advice I could give. Try and do it faster and be beside them sooner for as much support as you can give.
That's Cindy Mills and her son, Roe Walker Mills in Winnipeg, speaking to the CBC's Bridget Forbes. To see a photo of mother and son, check out the website and our Twitter feed this morning. You can also watch for a feature web story that will go up on cbc.ca/Manitoba over the weekend.